Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first ever post AEW Dynamite Pro Wrestling live stream. I am, of course, joined today by the Chaos Cultist.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, and we are here to discuss the results of tonight's AEW Dynamite. So, if you have not watched it and you want to and you don't want spoilers, I guess maybe leave. But if you're cool with spoilers or you watched it, we're going to discuss it because there were some interesting things that happened tonight.
There were. I have to say, there's been a couple of below average dynamites in the last month or two, and I feel like this is one where things were actually heading in directions narratively,
Totally.
and I felt like this was a better episode than we've actually had in a few weeks, not counting like go home episodes for pay-per-views.
Of course, of course. And I would totally agree with that because there were a couple of stories that actually genuinely felt like they were progressing and going in interesting directions rather than it just being like, oh, okay, well, this is predictable and kind of humdrum.
Yes.
Also, I just
Um,
want to say very quickly, sorry to interrupt. Hello to Night Terrain, Duffs 101, Sega Man, Tabletop Chuck. You guys are all amazing. Hello and welcome to the stream. Hopefully, you're enjoying it so far and you're ready to discuss pro wrestling.
All right, and to kick us off for the night, I know this is going to shock you and anyone else who is a fan of AEW,
Yes.
but the kickoff match for the night was for the
Wait.
AEW.
I let me guess. Let me guess.
Oh, are you sure? It's gonna be hard to predict who was in the first match.
I know that it's been like all over the place. They've really like spread out who opens the show recently, but I'm gonna guess that it involved Danhausen.
That was, you know what? We don't know who Bandito is beneath the mask, and that might be Danhausen. The entire like going to get pectoral surgery, that might just be a cover.
It could be. He's actually Bandito. No, it
Yes. It was Bandito versus the reigning, defending, dear God, the defending AEW Intercontinental Champion, Orange OC Cassidy.
indeed. And my gosh, has this man like he's opened I think all but like one maybe Dynamite in the last like 2 months every time they lead with him. I mean, it's for good reason. He puts on consistently good shows, and honestly, this match was no different.
You know, I don't know if it's quite that often, but if you count that or when they put him at the top of the middle hour, then I think you're probably on. Because he's almost always, if it's not main event, opener, or top of the middle hour, he's on
Me,
break that week. I don't know, but it's almost, it does seem like it's like two-thirds,
I
three-quarters
swear,
of
I
the
swear the
time.
last like 6 Dynamites have opened with him except for one of them. Because like you and I have talked about it every time
Mhm.
we've watched AEW for I feel like indefinitely, but I know it's not been like that long. But basically since like his reign, it's just been consistent of they always open with him because and the reason I know this, the reason I know we like specifically talked about it is because at our show that we went to in SF, they did the exact same thing.
True enough. I mean, they've made it into the Intercontinental Workhorse title,
Hmm.
so
Which
you
admittedly I
know,
do enjoy.
yeah, I mean, he's definitely, because it's interesting because we do have, of course, the TNT title, but it's definitely, and it's amazing considering Orange Cassidy is the one that we're talking about here. But the Intercontinent, or I'm sorry, the International Championship
Yes.
has become that worker title for AEW that we kind of thought the TNT title was going to be, but in hindsight, considering the champions of the TNT Championship that defined it, Cody,
Hmm.
Brody, and to even take the idea a little further, even -1,
Hmm.
the TNT title, Sammy Guevara
Yeah.
and Darby has been a very sports entertainment title.
It really has. It actually really, really has. Which I agree with you though. When they first announced it, I kind of expected it to be more what the international championship has turned into.
International?
Is it international or intercon?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because it's not intercontinental. That's the WWE
Yeah,
one.
that's what we
It's
keep both
them
getting
for having
mixed up.
similar names.
Intercontinental, inter-European, inter-country,
National.
inter-North American, interdimensional. Intergalactic jumping. Sorry. Um,
Red Panda 7 actually makes a good point about this particular matchup that he feels like they've been using him too much to lead like one-off hours. And I don't know if they've been using him too much, but I do think
that's the
that element is
story.
part of the story. Yes, exactly. And I actually think they're doing it very, very well.
Because he is beaten up, and they are making a point of it in like
Yes.
post-match interviews. Like he had a match where he defended it, I think a New Japan show recently.
Yes.
It might have been Ring of Honor, forgive me.
Yeah, I
But
can't remember now which, but
but they interviewed him afterwards, and like, I mean, he had been chopped to hell, so he looked rough. But I feel like it's like the third or fourth interview, and the where they've really played up the fact that he is coming out of these matches ragged.
Oh yeah, and he's even gone into a couple of them with like called out injuries because for at one point he had like one of his shoulders was bandaged
Mm-hmm.
up for a little while, and now he's got the hand because that got he punched the belt, I believe it was, like last week or something like that. So he keeps having these minor injuries that still require some bandaging, but they're not so much to keep him out. And I think that is entirely part of his whole storyline. I actually really thought a couple of points during this match between him and Bandito that they might be paying off some of those injuries and actually have Bandito capitalize and win over him. But instead, they ended up having Orange Cassidy retain. He awkwardly tried to put a pair of his sunglasses on Bandito at the end of it.
Oh yes, the friendship story between Orange Cassidy and Bandito was a little awkward.
It was a little bit awkward. But when they finally like did and they had their hands up together, like clearly a very strong friendship was born because we'll see both of them a few more times actually, I think, throughout the show today.
Yeah, I mean, like if this was like general manager mode, if Orange Cassidy puts his glasses on somebody, it's going to increase their like affection towards him by 20 points.
Totally,
So,
totally.
so that unity, and I think we're doing that also because the best friends are a little played out at this point. Danhausen is gone, so Orange Cassidy does need a partner,
Yes.
and Bandito, oddly enough,
Works really
not
well with him.
well, he's a straight man to Orange Cassidy's comedy, which
Yeah,
Danhausen didn't really, whereas with Danhausen was the comedy, and Orange was almost the straight man.
I
So,
agree. They both had the comedy, but like they were both different sides of absurdist. It was very strange because they both have
yeah,
very similar like tied sort of comedy styles in my opinion when it comes to like pro wrestling. Like they're out there characters,
yep,
but they're totally different.
absolutely. All we know is one day, probably in 3 or 4 months, when he's healed up, we are going to get for the custody of Orange Cassidy, Bandito versus Danhausen.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean that would be a probably a
Good
really
luck
good
to
match to be
Danhausen.
fair.
Good luck to him. Um,
You don't have confidence in him. He's very nice but also very evil.
mhm. Next up on the card, in the year of our Lord 2023, I am sitting watching Jeff Jarrett have a match. Um,
And honestly, not a
a
terrible
pre-
match. That's the thing that
well, he
blows
was
my
with
mind about
Dax.
it.
It was with Dax, so we had a feeling it was going to be a ringer. And honestly, I think if their intention was to make me feel like I was watching an old NWA match,
Uh-huh.
or like an old WCW match or
Yeah.
something like that. I think they achieved that.
I would agree.
Because
Not
it
having
felt like a fight in the way that
Yes.
I feel like these two would want to put on a fight.
I completely agree with you. Like I don't have much experience with too much of the NWA style, but what I do know is it definitely felt more like what they gave us. And honestly, it was a really enjoyable match. Like I wasn't expecting to go into this one necessarily liking it. Like I really like Dax because I like FTR. But I don't really care about Jeff Jarrett because he's not from any eras that I was watching until currently, which just feels very weird. Um, and so like this whole thing was just very strange to me, but honestly, it turned out really a lot better than I anticipated.
Yeah, I think the FTR versus Team TNA, because I
Yeah.
don't have a better name for them, title match will be pretty good. I mean, the biggest threat I guess we have going into it
Yeah.
is Jeff Jarrett's very good, but we saw it tonight. He was getting tired. And God forbid me to criticize anyone's stamina, but I'm wondering in a pay-per-view match, are we going to see like 7-star FTR
Right.
against them, or are we going to see 3.5 star?
Yeah, that is the concern there. I mean, I want to believe that like Jeff Jarrett has one more like really good pay-per-view show in him, but I
Yeah,
do agree.
absolutely. I mean, it's a tag team match, which will help them
That's true.
as well.
That's true.
So and once again, like the storytelling and the presence Jeff Jarrett still has in the ring
Oh, very, very, very
is
good.
insane.
Yeah,
Like it's something that admittedly, I think Jericho is the other legend who still has that of
completely.
like he's out there and it's just this big cartoon character
Yep.
out there that just
Have
draws your
we
attention and
have we seen Jeff Jarrett do his like, oh, we have a cat, a surprise cat cameo. Have we seen Jeff Jarrett do his like guitar stunt yet? Surely we have, right?
Wait, are you asking if we've seen Jeff Jarrett try to hit somebody with a guitar in AEW?
Yeah.
A few dozen, if not
Okay,
a
that's
hundred
what I
times.
thought. That's what I thought. But for some reason, because it
Normally
didn't.
he gets hit with them, but like
That's
yes,
okay. Okay,
yes,
good, good.
many
I was
times.
just it didn't happen in this match, and I think
No.
that's why I was suddenly going, wait a minute, did have I
Oh.
hallucinated all of those?
No, remember like against Darby, I think it happened like
Yes,
three
yeah, with
times.
Sting and everything, and
Yep.
yep. Okay,
Hmm.
cool, cool. I'm glad that I'm remembering that correctly and not because we didn't have one here, so I felt like it was a gimmick he always did, and it just didn't happen. So I really
Yeah,
like how serious they took this match.
yeah, it's interesting. We were actually talking while we were watching it, just the weird generational thing going on in AEW because we know they wanted to have Ric Flair at one point, but
Oh
he's
yeah,
like, you got him, and then 10 years beneath Ric Flair, you got Sting, then 10 years below Sting, you got Jeff Jarrett,
yep.
and then I don't know how old like Jay Lethal is.
Hmm.
I think he's in his 40s, so he's like 10 years younger than
You
that.
have
And
a
then
lot of different
you got
generations.
Dax, who's 10 years younger than that.
Wow.
Just sorry, it was just a conversation we were having. I thought it was interesting, but not really a point. So we're gonna move on to the next topic.
No
Sorry.
problem, no problem.
Speaking of pointless things. All right, let me just preface the next section by letting everyone know that we are from the Bay Area, and so we are biased in favor of one Book of Hobbs.
Yes. Very much
And-
so.
yeah,
Very,
so
very much so.
So next up, we had Wardlow in action against a local talent. It went as you would expect, a Wardlow versus local talent match to go.
Yep, he squashed him.
Yes, it was quite quick. The local talent at least took the power bombs quickly.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So following that, Anderson cut a promo, and it was fine.
Yeah, I haven't no disrespect to Arn Anderson or anything, but I have not been super impressed with his promos recently. And yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if him and Wardlow really works together for me personally.
Well, it's weird because I mean, Arn fits the archetype of like Wardlow fits a wrestler that Arn Anderson would historically back. So it does make some sense, but Arn Anderson as a character got over the most, I feel, in the Codyverse.
Yes.
Armed Anderson was probably the most over he ever was. And especially if their feud is going to be against QT Marshall, Will Hobbs, Aaron Solo, and whoever that blonde woman is.
Yes.
Yeah, whomever she is. Is it always the same woman, or is it like a different one every time?
No, I'm pretty sure it's the same woman every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely am paying attention.
I'm sure that you are.
Yes. I feel like we're gonna have this cartoony, TMZ villain.
Yes.
Like, I want like armed Anderson to be the pro tag and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And that would be pretty fun. I just don't know if that's where they're going to go with it, you know?
Well, I don't know either because while that was brought in with a QTV segment,
Hmm.
actually a little later in the show or right after this,
Yeah.
Christian Cage and Luchasaurus are actually the ones who interrupted Arn Anderson and Wardlow in the ring,
Yes. Yeah,
which is fine. It's like it's teasing a hoss fight, but I know we've had Wardlow and Luchasaurus before, right?
I think we have. It's been a while, and it was definitely when Luchasaurus was, had a speaking role and was like a dinosaur with a master's degree or doctorate or something. I can't remember
Yeah, I think
now.
it was during lockdown, so it was probably long enough ago.
I know, but it makes me sad because it was my favorite version of Luchasaurus. As much as I like his current mask and look, I'm really sad that he no longer like speaks and he just is kind of following Christian Cage around. And they didn't even like my problem with this segment with like them being the one to interrupt rather than it being QT and Hobbs who have like an actual beef with Wardlow right now for, being taking the championship and everything off of Hobbs. Like they didn't say anything during this promo. They just came down, kind of like stood aggressively at ringside and then like backed off.
Yeah, they wouldn't even get in the ring.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you're teasing this down the line, but is this really something like I feel so bad because I really like Wardlow and I really loved him in his storyline with MJF, but because of the conclusion to that got so borked, his character for me is so not in a good place and I need it to be completely reworked because I just don't care. And I feel bad about it because I like him, but I just don't care about like him holding the championship right now. I wanted Hobbs to have it for longer, damn it.
Yeah, because Wardlow is a character that is really going to be defined by his rivalries because
Yes.
it's the same problem that we've seen with like Brian Cage
Mm-hmm.
of like you are very physically impressive.
Yes.
What else?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my problem with him is like Wardlow hasn't shown me that
Like it
much of a
was fun when he
personality
was
to really
fighting
like
against MJF, but MJF, man, that man can get over anybody,
he
and we'll talk
really
about that
can.
more
Oh
in a
my god, we're gonna
bit.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that later. I do want to actually slightly roll back a little bit because we did have an announcement from Tony Khan.
Yes, I actually was about to touch on that as well because I remembered that was
Yes,
before.
so we had an announcement from Tony Khan. He looked as top as ever. So talking about
I
how
would say he looked less top than he normally
I think it's
looks.
because he was in his hometown where and like near family. That's
I
good.
think it's
That's
because he
my
was
that is my
pre-recorded.
assumption.
He was pre-recorded, and therefore they could
Oh yeah,
sober him
you're
up.
right. That is actually why. Okay.
Allegedly,
Anyways, but like
in
what? So he
Minecraft.
had an announcement about the Owen Hart tournament this year.
Yes, it is returning. I don't remember if it's happening exactly a year,
I don't know if
after
it
the
is actually
fact,
either.
but regardless, following the last two champions, Britt Baker, DMD,
Yes.
and Adam Cole, Bebe,
Yes.
I believe that is also a medical degree of some kind.
Of course. Of
Um,
course.
yes, won last year. I don't think they're going to be involved in this year's tournament. That would make the most sense to me. But the entire tournament is going to be taking place in Canada.
I think except for the opening ceremony, which is going to be at Double or Nothing. So I think the opening ceremony and matches are going to be there, is what he said. And
Isn't Double or Nothing in Canada?
I thought it was in Chicago.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I might be wrong then. Then maybe Double or Nothing is in Canada, and then yeah, I think all of it's happening in Canada. But I know that the main, like the finals, is actually going to happen in Calgary, which is where Owen Hart is from, which is really
Las
cool.
Vegas, actually.
Okay,
So
so
we're
it's in
both
Vegas.
wrong.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think the majority of the tournaments happening in Canada. I know there's going to be a lot of matches at Forbidden Door, which is going to be really cool, and then they're going to have the finals at Calgary. Honestly, I'm looking
It's true.
forward to it.
Japan will probably have some too, because I bet they'll
Yes,
have some in New Japan.
they
Some
probably
like
will. They
prelims.
probably will. I'm looking forward to this year's. I'm curious if they're gonna handle it differently from what they did last year, because I don't know. It felt a little weird because Britain and Cole won it and then did nothing with it. So I'm hoping like something happens this year with it beyond just woo, we've got two new winners.
See, I really, once again, it's more of a push for the charity than anything else.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I
So
guess you're right.
I think it's more about just
Who's gonna
crowning
be
a
the
couple of
next?
spokespeople for the next year.
You know what? That's a fair
And
point.
yeah, and while I don't think, and I think it'll help if this year they don't give it to like a couple.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's what made it kind of awkward. Is just that we
Yes.
were like, well, we know they're a couple, so this seems really, really, really premeditated.
And then we had the most heinous act of the night in an unprecedented show of violence and uncaring wrath. An innocent, a soul that has never harmed another was struck down by the violence that was the Blackpool Combat Club when poor RJ City
Was absolutely wrecked by John Moxley. Holy shit.
oh hey RJ
Oh, hey.
get well
Hey,
soon.
AEW.
All
Oh my
right.
god. RJ City, can I just say that I'm so glad he's getting TV time? Even if that TV time is him getting his ass kicked by John Moxley. Um, yeah. Yeah, they just came in and devastated him, cut a promo on the Elite, and then left in an angry rage, as they like to do.
Now, do you want to talk about the friendship
I
that we
do. I do want to talk about
blossoming tonight?
the beautiful, beautiful friendship that we could saw go through a lot of stages actually this evening. It was lovely.
Oh, there was a rise and a fall
There
action.
was
Arc.
there was a rise and a fall action that I think we're gonna see turn into something else as we go into future episodes of AEW, and I'm looking forward to talking about it. No, we're not skipping the MJF segment. Don't worry, Red Panda 7. We're coming back to it right now because we're gonna talk about it as a lead up to the match. So, Sammy and MJF end up having this great segment with Renee where they just turn into the biggest bros for each other on the planet. And it was beautiful. Like, they were hugging, they were smelling each other, complimenting each other on how they smelled nice. That's how the segment ended, which was just so good. And I just have to say that I absolutely love MJF and Sammy Guevara. Like, Guevara. Sorry, I said his last name right. Weird. Together as a, like, group right now. Like, they are perfect together. Because I personally don't think Sammy is very good unless he's scripted. I think when he
vlogs very well.
yeah, he vlogs really well. I don't know why that doesn't translate into his promos. It's so bizarre to me. But the majority of the time, I don't feel like he's that great of a promo. However, MJF, we all know, is an absolutely just amazing promo. And him with Sammy is just this beautiful, like, I feel like they're bullies in a high school anime, okay? Like, I was just talking to Chaos Cultist earlier, and I don't know if this actually makes sense to anybody other than me, but I kind of view them a little bit, and they are not these characters. I just want to make this very, very clear. But, like, they're playing the role of these characters. They're just nothing like the personalities of them, okay? But MJF is Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho, and Sammy is Kurobara from Yu Yu Hakusho. And
You're insane.
What? I'm not insane.
I don't see it.
Because
They're both villains. They're both a couple of dumbass villains.
But MJF is the smart one, and Sammy is kind of like the dumb brute who just
You're
like makes
calling
weird
Yusuke
faces.
Urameshi smart, and that is the problem I'm
He
having
is!
right now.
Come
No, he
on!
isn't. He is not.
He.
It is a key fundamental tenet of Yusuke's
I said that he
character.
wasn't the character. They're just playing the roles. He's the leader, and the other guy is like your pompadour wielding like doofus, and that is what Sammy is to MJF. I stand by my point, damn it.
So MJF came out to the ring after Sammy and Darby had come out for the finals of the Four Pillars tournament, and he had MJF branded pickles.
Oh my god, yes.
And those pickles became the topic of the episode for about the next 20
Oh
minutes.
my god, they really did. Commentary was just obsessed. Taz, my man. Oh my god.
I mean, no. First off, we were not we were watching the European feed, so we
Yes.
we got to see them like talking during commercial breaks or listen to them during commercial breaks, and like
It was great.
Taz. I mean, Taz said he shouldn't have eaten any of the pickles because it was bad for his cholesterol and his
Yeah, he
salt
was trying.
intake.
He was like, "No, bro, I really shouldn't. This is the sodium, man. The sodium."
And then it's just like crunch. Taz is just into these suckers.
God. He just like MJF was like, "Just take a pickle, Taz," and Taz obliged, and then immediately shoved it into his mouth and like ate half of it. It was great.
Yes. The match itself between Sammy and Darby was fine.
It would be exactly what you'd expect from a Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin match. It's a
It
lot of
is in the
action.
middle of the episode and not a main event.
Yes, exactly. Darby did end up bleeding, of course. There was, of course, blood because they can't not. We had a table spot, which was really good. Always terrifying to watch happen, but like they always land that one. I feel like pretty well. But looked great. And the match ultimately ended with, of course, shenanigans. Because
Yeah, a bit of
MJF.
a dusty finish.
Yep. We had MJF run up while the ref was distracted.
Yeah, Tay
Throw.
Conti got up on the apron.
Yes, exactly. Tay Conti was distracting the ref. MJF tossed Darby his skateboard. Sammy stayed, of course, planted flat on the mat as if he was the one being attacked. And then the ref eventually turned back around, saw that Darby had the skateboard, disqualified him, making it so that he was not going to fight MJF
AKA
at Double or Nothing.
AKA the Eddie Guerrero with the steel chair spot. Just
Exactly.
with Darby Allin's skateboard instead.
Exactly.
Yep. So with that on commentary, Tony Schiavone gets into full roleplay mode and
Yes.
does the entire like, hold on, the voice of God is speaking to me. Tony Khan is speaking to me right now. Give me a second, guys. Blah 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 blah. As Sammy and MJF are celebrating in the ring. And it's not long before Tony gets on the mic. Tony Schiavone gets on the mic and announces for next week's Dynamite,
Yes.
there will be a tag team match, playa,
Woo!
between Sammy Guevara and MJF and Darby and Jungle Boy. And if Darby and Jungle Boy win the tag team match, then at the pay-per-view it will be a fatal four-way.
Which I expect to happen.
Everyone has, this is sort of where it's all been going. Narratively, it's a little weak because it, in my opinion, because it sort of means the last couple of weeks of matches have meant nothing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like I'm a little sad that this tournament has, I mean it's meant nothing anyways because MJF and Sammy were blatantly rigging it all in their favor. So I mean it really
That was the story.
yes. But now they've made it mean even less because they're ultimately just going to probably, I mean, I really doubt that they're going to have Darby and Jungle Boy lose. So I expect they're going to win next week. And then we'll have a four-way at the pay-per-view, which I'm very excited for. Like seeing the four pillars. I don't think we've actually seen that. Have we seen the four of them?
I don't think so, mostly because MJF, I mean, maybe in like a early match, but MJF has been so rarely in the ring. I very
agree.
much doubt it. And it's interesting too, because if you think about it, the Fatal Four Way will mean that MJF, like all of them, will get more rest time during this match. So, it'll be nice for the four of them. They'll get to main event, but none of them are gonna have to carry the full match. I'm sure Darby and Sammy are probably gonna be like broken in half by the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I do want to sort of just talk about Jungle Boy because, dear God, does he feel like he is the seventh wheel in this entire
Oh my
thing?
God, he really does. Which I feel so bad for him about that because he's very, very talented. I just
But
don't. there's nothing going on for him, in my opinion. Like,
It goes back to even my problem with the TNT Championship. It's suddenly Christian Cage and Luchasaurus are poking, Wardlow about his title.
right,
And like, but wait, you guys just lost to Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy's the fourth wheel.
of the pillars, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It feels like we have a power dynamic problem right now.
I hadn't thought of that specifically, but I completely agree with you. That really makes even the Christian Cage and Luchasaurus thing even like more weird now that you've said
Hmm.
that. Ugh, okay.
All right. Next up, we have the much advertised hearing from Adam Cole, Bay,
Baby.
following last week's assault on himself and his just girlfriend. I don't think they are engaged yet, but Britt Baker.
Yes.
We have seen her. She's got a hell of a shiner
Oh my
from
gosh,
I think
yeah.
Soraya gave her that one.
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember. Like, I don't know who specifically from the group did it, but yeah, she's got a big old black eye.
Yes.
At least it's
And
healing up very nicely. Like I saw it earlier, before
Mhm.
AEW Dynamite tonight, and it was a lot more swollen and like looked nastier.
I can believe it. So checking the chat to see if we anything.
Oh, who's doing the booking at AEW at the moment is something that Okami asked, and I believe it's Tony Khan.
Yeah, it's Khan's still in charge of overall booking. I know I believe Omega has some insight into the women's division, but Khan still runs everything.
Yeah. I think he's had a
Um
lot of control basically since honestly since Cody.
yeah, since that entire thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Adam Cole calls out Jericho. Jericho was not flying down to Florida this week.
He
And
said no and
so
just called in.
yeah, so we had a pre-recorded message before the JAS came out to beat down Adam Cole. Orange Cassidy, along with his new BFF for life, Bandito, came
Yes.
down to make the save. Unfortunately, they forgot that Orange Cassidy's powers don't work outside of matches.
Yes, pretty much. And
Yeah.
everybody was actually getting their butts kicked until we had the surprise return. I mean, I guess not a return, the debut of Roderick Strong, which came out of nowhere to me because I didn't even know that his contract was like close to being up at WWE.
It threw everyone off because I saw Sean Ross Sapp talking on Twitter about how there hadn't been a peep out of WWE on what his contract was doing for months. So where he's been, who knows? Now his wife does wrestle for
That's
AEW,
correct.
predominantly on Dark, Marina Shafir.
Hmm.
So it does make sense that he would come here. Plus, good friend Adam
He's
Cole
friends
is
with Adam
here.
Cole and stuff.
And eventually, Kyle O'Reilly is still signed to AEW. He's just been out on injury,
Oh,
so
okay.
we
I wasn't
will
actually
get
sure.
the Undisputed Era again.
Now, Fish left though, right?
Yes, Bobby Fish
Yeah.
was signed to Impact, although I think even that contract is now up.
Oh, is it? Okay. Interesting.
Don't quote me on that, but I think so.
Fair enough. It would be cool to see like a full reunion of Undisputed Era. They were pretty dominant in NXT when they were running it.
Yes. So that, especially if they end up feuding with House of Black, who we heard nothing from tonight.
No, we didn't see them. Now we did at this point see this is where we got the promo between Hobbs and QT and them promising him that they're going to get him his championship back and QT Marshall, you better, sir, you better get that man his championship back. I'm still angry.
I do not blame you. All right. After that, we had a match that I had been looking forward to a bit, but I have to admit I was a little disappointed by in
I
the
agree.
end. For the TBS Championship, defending it, Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie. I honestly thought there would be just more pop to this match. I think just the fact that it ended up being the second to last position on the card, sort of
Killed it a little bit.
telegraphed. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, you know, she's not gonna. Jade Cargill is not losing her title in the in the
Yeah.
break match position on the card.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Um, I hadn't really thought of that because I really was expecting more from this match as well. Like I kind of had hoped that Taya would take it off.
I thought it was heading to a pay-per-view or something larger, like
Maybe it
main
still
event of one of
will.
those Saturday specials or one of those things.
Right. I suspect that it probably still will end up heading to a pay-per-view and maybe she will still end up taking it off Jade. Because I do wonder at this point, like, what if they're not going to have Valkyrie take it off of her, who do they have actually come in and take it off of Jade? Because she's just been so dominant and she's fought so many different women at this point that it's almost unrealistic. And I am curious what they're going to do with her. She looked fabulous though, by the way. Both of them did. But like Jade just constantly like she gives me such Daenerys Targaryen vibes and I love it.
Let's see. Do you want to do a check-in on chat?
Yes. We have let's see how chat is doing. I know that a couple people are multitasking and actually watching Dynamite while watching us to catch up and everything. Um, Red Panda 7 was or earlier saying when we were talking about Sammy was saying that they feel that Sammy works best as a wrestler when he's being a slimy sidekick. And I very much agree with that. Like he does really he needs a mouthpiece for him, but he needs that mouthpiece I think to also be a wrestler. Just it works better for him that way. Um I think we're pretty good though.
Yep. In regards to questions about WWE
Oh, you know
and
what? Actually, sorry, one real quick. Duff's 101 just posted or just commented that he thinks that they're waiting for Chris Statlander to maybe come back and take it off of Jade, which is she would definitely be somebody who I think could come in as like a powerful woman like and take it I think like from Jade. That is a good call.
I feel like we've been waiting for her for like 4 months
I will
already.
admit, so she actually popped in at the Heels event that I
Oh
went
yeah, you
to in
told me about it.
SF, and
Immediately, her first thing.
the immediate thing out of her mouth was no, she was not doing a return that night because I think she gets asked that unfortunately a lot. Like every time she shows up anywhere, I think people constantly ask her, "Hey, are you returning soon?" And while she is healing up, I think I do think it's still some time before she's going to be back. And I feel bad for her because honestly, she seemed really bummed about it. Like she seemed very disgruntled. Um,
And Jade is also just treading water right
yeah,
now.
she's doing nothing. Like it's just like she's being dominant, sure, but I feel like the energy she had a couple of months ago, or even when she first won the championship, has completely just like out of
I think
nowhere. Um,
Jade and Wardlow to me both suffer from the same problem, and this is a problem that I think is relatively common with limited, like TV roster wrestling,
mhm.
is that if you create a mid-card monster,
Yeah.
why don't you have them fight the main eventers?
Yeah, actually, John Havman was just saying that Jade hasn't fought any of the top women in AEW yet. Maybe one of them can beat her, and that's very fair. Like maybe Britt needs to come down, and since she doesn't have the title right now, but Jamie Hayter does, this would give Britt a title, and then both of them could have titles, and they could be that dominant heel pair. And she takes it off of Jade or something like that, or even really anybody from that has been going after that title like the main women's championship, could come down and beat Jade. But I also worry what
So,
that's gonna do to Jade's like character though, if they
yeah.
just come down from this like separate tier of workers and just beat her.
Yeah, because and I think that's the reason you don't do that
Right.
is because, you sort of set your power levels at that point and you
Hmm.
keep the illusion of, Saraya and Britt Baker. Because the other thing is Britt Baker has already held the main women's title. So her coming to take the TBS title is arguably a downgrade for her.
Right.
And Jade has been built in such a way where it should be a a new rising hero that dethrones her.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess what I was just saying is it is sort of a writing flaw of you got to go like, yeah, well, why doesn't Britt Baker show up or Ray or like, I
Red
guess
Panda
Ruby
actually made a good suggestion of having Ruby from the Outcasts come in and take it, because
didn't
she could
she
use a
fight
belt.
Jade for it?
Do what?
I thought she did.
She may have, but she didn't have the power boost of being with the Outcast
Yep,
yet. So
fast.
maybe they could sneak it off of her, like cheat it off of her.
Yes,
Which
yeah,
I
they
think
they
would at
did, but it
least.
was back in January of 22.
Okay, okay. So yeah, well maybe they could still do that. Like maybe they could have her use the numbers advantage. Because I mean I know Jade has numbers, but like
Ruby is literally who she beat to win the original title.
oh my god, is it really? Well,
Yeah.
revenge then. It's a great story. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like Jade, and Jade is also running out of heat as a heel,
I
right?
agree.
Like,
She really is.
yeah, so it's got to be something interesting there. But
Absolutely.
moving on from that to the main event of the night, which if this it doesn't show that this was a building episode of Dynamite, I don't know what does. Our main event of the Butcher and the Blade versus Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah, this was a weird match because
I love everyone in this
I do
match. Like
too.
unironically, I love the
Oh,
Butcher and the Blade.
oh
I
my! I
love
should have
Kip
had my Butcher
Sabian.
and Blade shirt on. Missed opportunity. I didn't
Yeah,
even think about it.
love the bunny. Heart goes out to her and Kip for everything they've been through in the last year.
Oh my
Um,
god! Right? Her and Penelope and Kip.
yes. Sorry, I said bunny. Like I meant Penelope.
Yes.
Sorry. Was Bunny there actually?
Bunny was not there. No, she actually did not come down. As far as I know, I don't even think she like came to the ramp
No,
with
that's right. That's
Butcher
right.
and
Sorry,
Blade,
I'm
which was
so used to
weird.
Butcher, Blade, and the bunny that like blonde woman crossed my head there.
Yeah, well, no, well, because Kip eventually the reason that Kip and Penelope are on our mind is because later on in this match they show up to be distractions.
They did. Especially, I mean, Kip Sabian's hair is very
I
distracting.
love his hair right now. Oh my god, I wish my hair could be that like vibrant. I can't like bleach it though. So I can't get like that brilliant of a color, but holy shit, it looks so good.
Yeah, see, the advantage he has is because he keeps it shorter than you. If it starts to fry, he cuts it.
Exactly.
So this was good. It really served more as a vehicle for what happened after the match, however.
Yes.
Once again, Butcher and the Blade, they had a competitive match against Kenny and Takeshita, primarily, as Angela already mentioned, via outside shenanigans,
Yeah. But
but
they're also just a really good tag team. Like they did get a couple of really good, I think, offensive moves on the pair and everything. Really showcasing that they do work very well as a team. And I don't think anybody in the match like didn't look strong in the end. But it really was a match that I went into going, well, we know that Takeshita and Kenny are winning this, guys. Like there's no question.
yep. And so the point of this match was really for the post-match segment,
Yes.
which featured a American Dragon coming out to confront Kenny and Takeshita, or well, to confront primarily Takeshita for siding with Kenny and the Elite against him and the BCC.
Also calling Kenny or that and telling Kenny that he's past his prime, which I thought was really funny.
Right? Yes. Waiting for him to call him a B plus player.
Oh, he should have done that. That would have been so
I
good.
think he already did that gimmick once already in
Has he? Okay, that's
WWE, I
okay. Fair
think.
enough. Fair enough. He's not overplaying it. I'll forgive him for that.
Yeah, and sort of pointing out to Takeshita that he doesn't want to end up like Nakazawa or Brandon Cutler, who haven't done anything in AEW, and
Never.
I really think that's actually like a dig because I know for a fact that at least Brandon Cutler is like heavily involved in and important in AEW's social media, like visual presentation, editing, stuff for everything that goes online. So
Yeah.
he's probably actually done more and is more important in a behind the scenes role than like most just on-screen talent.
Yep, I would completely agree. I think
I'm
Nakazawa
I
has a
am
bigger
also an
role.
editor, so I'm also biased.
What? What? You're biased towards other editors?
Other D&D playing editors, yes.
He does very specifically hit a bunch of buttons for you, doesn't he? There's a reason I bought you his shirt.
There you go. Multiple of them, actually.
Yeah, early on I bought you like every brand and color shirt because I was like, hey.
But so what was interesting was all of this confrontation by Brian resulted in the BCC attempting to jump Kenny and Takeshita.
Yep.
To which the Bucks actually saved the day quite successfully.
Yep.
Getting the better of the BCC, clearing the ring,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing Kenny Omega to actually capture Bryan Danielson with the help of the Bucks,
Mm-hmm.
and prepare their favorite weapon of the month, the screwdriver.
So he can finally enact that violence that he's been wanting to against them.
Well, he wants to match the big open scar that they put on Don Callis's head like a month
That's
ago.
true. Yes, that is the specific motivation.
So that's what that's the idea is they want to recreate that.
Got it.
However, Takeshita, I think pushed into the ring by Moxley. I don't quite remember.
No, I think he just got in the ring. He just wanted to stop Omega from. He's like, no, don't do this, man.
Yeah, Takeshita's in there like the lawful good paladin of like, no, you can't do this, and Kenny's over here like
he's your good shonen protagonist. Okay, he's coming in like Desu and being like, don't do this. We can be friends, everybody.
Did we like or dislike when Cutler would come out and roll a die, Havman?
I loved it.
Yeah, once he got the big metal one.
Yeah, he like when he got the giant one with his logo on it and then he rolled it, it was beautiful.
I wish there was a way they could have gimmicked it so he would just roll a 1 every time.
Oh, that would have been amazing, especially for his losing streak.
Yeah.
Oh, the best feud. The absolute best feud. Him versus
the librarian.
The librarian.
Yeah, on Dark in that first year was amazing.
So good. It was just so good. I miss it so much.
So yeah, so we sort of ended that match with, that confrontation, the question of, is Takeshita going to continue?
Well, I don't think he's going to, because they definitely stabbed him with the screwdriver. Remember, that's how it actually ended. The match actually, like, so Takeshita, the Bucks did clear the ring, but Takeshita ended up getting left in the ring with BCC. They surrounded him, beat him up. Moxley decided to then give him a scar on his forehead, just like they were trying to do to them. And then they exited the ring, and the Elite.
That's right. They gave Takeshita the option of joining them instead,
and he said no because he's a good shonen protagonist.
And then they low blowed him and beat him. Sorry. Yes. I was trying to get the stream ready.
No, that's totally fine. You had left to go start to get the stream ready. But yeah, that is how we ended the show. Now, this is all going to be leading up to, of course, more that's going to happen at the next show, and of course, Double or Nothing, which I mean, honestly, I'm really excited for. I think the feud between the Elite, the BCC, and the number of people who've kind of been brought in because of the longer story that we're telling of Don Callis trying to separate Omega from the Bucks and really turn him into that singles championship that he was prior to getting back into bed basically with the Elite. I think that's all been very interesting, and I like where they're going.
Absolutely. And also that with the, I don't think this is going to happen. Okay. I'm not going to be one of those people who thinks it's going to happen, but Forbidden Door is happening and Kota Ibushi is out there.
And he could just walk into the arms of Kenneth Omega.
How about this?
Yes.
And this is me fantasy booking. 100% fantasy booking.
Okay. 100% fantasy booking. Here we go.
So Takeshita has joined the Elite, right? Especially now.
Yes.
BCC brings in Ibushi on their side.
No, I love it. Go on.
I mean, think about it. Like at the end of the pay-per-view, it could be something where BCC and the Elite are doing their big, 4-on-4 or having their big tag
Yes.
match against each other.
Yes.
But, Ibushi's music hits, out he walks. Kenny
Oh,
Omega, like,
it's like, oh, my golden
leaves. He
lovers.
just leaves
Uh-huh.
to, like, follow him because, like, Ibushi comes out and stands at the top of the ramp all beautiful, and Ibushi, like,
Of course. Like a
and
golden
then like
angel.
the wind blowing, and then he just slowly
Sakura
walks
petals
off, and
falling.
Kenny just sprints down, out of the ring, and that's going to result in the loss. I don't
Oh,
know, something like that could happen.
oh, that would be amazing. I would be into that. That would be very cool.
Yes, I don't know, but so that was Dynamite this week.
Red
This was
Panda
our
really likes your fantasy booking, by the way. Says it's
thank you.
very good. Perfect.
Thank Perfect. Thank you guys. Those of you who have joined us in chat tonight. This is sort of the first time we've actually done a wrestling podcast discussion
Yeah.
sort of thing. What did you think, Angela?
I really enjoyed it. I think we did a swell job. I really enjoyed this genuinely. Thank you guys all for joining us in chat. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this as well. Please definitely let us know feedback. On what you thought of us doing this, if you want to see more and everything. It's definitely something we want to continue doing. And I assume that down the line we'll also add in additional topics and stuff, because I don't know, like, I'm sure we both want to talk about our opinions of the new WWE belt.
Oh God.
And stuff like that in the future as well. So, you know, if you enjoy this kind of thing with us talking about wrestling and you want to see more of it, definitely make sure to be liking it and all of that kind
Share
of
it to
stuff.
your wrestling friends,
Yeah, share with
'cause
your wrestling
obviously
friends.
not every Warhammer player out there is a wrestling fan.
Of
So we
course.
need this, if this new show or segment is going to do well for us, we have to actually see it perform.
Absolutely. And Go For Painting, good morning to you, sir. Welcome to the stream. Although we are wrapping it up a little bit, so sorry for.
Yeah, I'm sure in the future we might make the stream a little bit longer, just depending on, topics that are going on.
Of
I
course.
don't want to talk about legal issues for
No.
personal as well as just legal. I don't want WWE coming after us.
Right. And a
Um,
lot of things right now are still hearsay with some of the legal stuff that I know is like out there floating around as things happening. So we're just gonna avoid that kind of stuff. But I think talking about the shows is definitely a great time. And I assume that we'll figure out some stuff probably around pay-per-views as well to like maybe do post pay-per-views in the future. I don't really know, but we'll figure it out and we'll make announcements about
Pay-per-views,
it.
I'm more in favor of doing the live reactions.
Ooh, that would be fun. Yeah, maybe we'll end up doing that, but we'll make announcements about it as we approach any pay per view that we might be doing something for. So, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off now.
Plug your OnlyFans and all that stuff, girl.
Yeah, okay. Well, before I head out, you can follow me at a lot of different places. If you're looking for miniature and hobby related content, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at hobby_night, just like the channel's name. But if you're looking for spicier content, then you want to follow Hobby After Dark. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and then of course you can find me on OnlyFans. You can check the Linktree link down in the video description below to find any of those links for whichever of my accounts you want to follow. And to anybody that does follow me, thank you very, very much. Any of that support is incredibly valuable to me, so thank you for all of it. Anyways, Chaos Cultist, why don't you go ahead and say goodnight to everybody, and we'll sign off.
Good night, everybody, and we'll sign off.
Okay, you didn't need to repeat it exactly, but thank you for doing so. Bye, guys. I will see you guys next time. We'll be back this Friday with a brand new live stream. I don't know what we're doing yet, but you'll see the preview once we've put it up there. So goodbye, and have a wonderful hobby night.